The chimpanzee war that shocked scientists. Hook in 1974, deep inside the forests of Tanzania, a war began. Not a human war. Not a war fought with guns or tanks. This war was fought by chimpanzees. For years, scientists believed that only humans could organize deadly conflicts against their own kind. But what they witnessed in a remote forest would change that belief forever. Former friends became enemies. Brothers turned against brothers. And over the next 4 years, one chimpanzee community would be completely destroyed. This is the story of the Gombe Chimpanzee War. Peace before the storm. The story begins in Tanzania's Gombe Stream National Park. For years, researchers had been studying a large community of chimpanzees living in the forest. The chimps knew each other well. They groomed one another, shared territory, and lived as a single group. The community was led by powerful males while mothers raised their young and taught them how to survive. To human observers, it seemed like a relatively peaceful society. But beneath the surface, tensions were growing. As the population increased, competition for food, territory, and status became more intense. No one knew it yet, but the seeds of a conflict had already been planted. The Great Split. Around the early 1970s, the community began to divide. The northern chimpanzees started spending more time together. The southern chimpanzees formed their own alliances. At first, the separation seemed harmless. Groups split and merged all the time in chimpanzee society. But this time was different. The distance between the two factions kept growing. Soon, members of one side stopped interacting with members of the other. Former companions who had spent years together now avoided each other completely. Eventually, the split became permanent. One community had become two. The northern group became known as the Kasakela community. The southern group became known as the Kahama community. Neither side knew it, but they were heading toward war. The first attack in January 1974, the conflict exploded. A male chimpanzee named Godi from the Kahama group was feeding alone in the forest. Unbeknownst to him, several males from the Kasakela community had entered the area. They moved silently through the trees. They watched. They waited. Then they attacked. The ambush was sudden and brutal. The attackers surrounded Godi before he could escape. They bit him, hit him, dragged him through the vegetation. Scientists watched in horror. This wasn't a simple fight. This was a coordinated attack carried out by multiple individuals against a single victim. Godi eventually died from his injuries. The war had begun. Years of violence after Godi's death, the attacks continued. The Kasakala males began conducting patrols along the borders of their territory. Whenever they encountered an isolated member of the rival community, they attacked. One by one, members of the Kahama group disappeared. Some were beaten to death. Others vanished after violent encounters. The pattern was impossible to ignore. These attacks were not random. The chimpanzees appeared to be systematically eliminating members of the rival group. Scientists had never seen anything like it before. The conflict continued year after year. Every successful attack made the Kasakela community stronger and the Kahama community weaker. The balance of power was shifting. The fall of Kahama. As the years passed, the Kahama community became smaller and smaller. Its males were killed or driven away. Its ability to defend territory collapsed. Eventually, the Kasakela chimpanzees took control of the rival group's land. The Kahama community effectively ceased to exist. After years of conflict, one side had won. The other had been erased. The war was over. But the story didn't end there. A shocking discovery. What stunned scientists most wasn't just the violence. It was the organization. The chimpanzees formed alliances, patrolled borders, launched surprise attacks, and targeted vulnerable individuals when the odds favored them. Many of the behaviors resembled patterns seen in human warfare. The discovery challenged long-held assumptions about the natural world. For decades, people had viewed humans as uniquely violent. Now researchers had evidence that some of our closest relatives were capable of organized, lethal conflict too. Ending the Gombe Chimpanzee War lasted roughly 4 years. By the time it ended, an entire community had vanished. What began as a split between former companions became one of the most famous animal conflicts ever recorded. Even today, the war remains a reminder that the line between human and animal behavior, may be thinner than we once believed. Deep in the forests of Tanzania, scientists set out to study peaceful chimpanzees. Instead, they witnessed a war, and it changed our understanding of nature forever. Nature is full of stories that seem impossible to believe until they actually happen. If you want to discover more true animal stories like this one, hit the like button and subscribe. The next story might be even crazier than this one,